I never saw it coming. Honestly, I thought Sarah and I had a pretty solid marriage, at least on the surface. We'd been together for 8 years, and I always believed we were in it for the long haul. Sure, we've had our disagreements, but that's normal, right? She was my wife, my partner, the woman I trusted. Our anniversary was supposed to be a special night, a dinner at that fancy restaurant downtown, candles, wine, the whole romantic setup. I even bought her that necklace she'd been eyeing for months. We were celebrating, or so I thought, but something felt off that evening. She was unusually tense during dinner, distracted even. She kept checking her phone, pretending to be engrossed in her glass of wine. I brushed it off because maybe she was just tired or had something on her mind. We toasted, she smiled, but behind that smile I sensed a shadow. I'd caught her texting during the week before, but she always claimed it was nothing, coworker stuff, just work things. She'd lie fast and convincing, like her usual bitchy attitude, deflecting any suspicion. Still, I didn't push because I didn't want to ruin our night. Then, about 2 days after the dinner, I started noticing the small stuff. Her phone would buzz at odd hours, and she'd discreetly hide it like she was hiding a secret. She'd get defensive if I ever asked who was messaging her, and her stories about where she'd been or who she'd seen didn't add up. Little things, her avoiding me, acting distant, began to pile up. I'd catch her lying about where she was, who she was with. Then came the real bombshell. I was in the kitchen one evening just trying to get some water when I saw her phone on the table. I almost didn't pick it up, but something made me glance at the screen. It was unlocked. There was a message, one from her, that said, "Can't wait to see you tonight, babe. Don't forget to lock the door." I froze, my stomach dropped. It wasn't just a friendly text. It was a clear sign she was sleeping with someone. My mind raced. Who the hell was this babe? My heart pounded like a drum. I felt a cold sweat break out as I stared at that message, knowing deep down my wife was cheating on me. I did know what to think or do in that moment. My first instinct was to confront her right then, but I hesitated. Instead, I sat there holding her phone, trying to process what I'd just seen. My mind was a jumble of disbelief, anger, and betrayal. I knew I had to find out everything, so I started digging deeper. I checked her messages, her call logs, even her social media accounts. Every clue pointed to the same thing: she was lying, sneaking around, and clearly cheating. Over the next few days, her behavior got even more suspicious. She was constantly on her phone, texting someone late into the night and trying to hide her screen when I got close. She'd snap at me for asking questions, call me paranoid, accuse me of mistrusting her. Typical Sarah, bitchy, defensive, full of excuses. She'd say things like, "You're overthinking it," or "You're just jealous because I'm prettier and more fun than you." Like that somehow justified her cheating. But it wasn't about looks or fun. It was about the fact that she was betraying everything we built. I started feeling like I didn't even know her anymore. We had this life together, or so I thought, but behind the scenes she was with someone else, someone who wasn't me. Every time I saw her laughing at her phone or sneaking around in the middle of the night, it just confirmed what I already knew deep down: she was cheating. And the worst part, she lied to my face about it. I confronted her directly one night when she was again acting weird, and she just rolled her eyes, threw her arms up, and said, "You're crazy. You're just paranoid. I don't know what you're even talking about." That's when I realized how much she hated being caught, how much she hated the truth. She was so bitchy about everything, so dismissive, like she thought she could just fake her way out of it. I felt numb, honestly. My heart was broken, but I was also furious. I couldn't believe I'd been blind to it for so long, or maybe I just didn't want to see. The signs were there. She was distant, secretive, texting behind my back, but I never wanted to believe she'd do this to me. I was starting to see a side of her I never knew, a side I didn't like. That's when I realized this wasn't going to be something I could just brush off. It was real, it was happening, and now I had to figure out what to do next. After I uncovered everything, I couldn't keep it bottled up anymore. The truth hit me like a ton of bricks, and I knew I had to confront her directly. No more hiding, no more pretending I didn't see what was right in front of me. That night, I sat her down in the living room, calm on the outside but boiling inside. I showed her the messages, the call logs, everything I had found. I didn't hold back, I laid it all out. Her reaction was typical Sarah, eye-rolling, smirking, trying to dismiss it like it was nothing. She looked at me with that bitchy, dismissive attitude she always had and said, "Oh, please. You're making a big deal out of nothing. I was just talking to Mike. It's not like I slept with him or anything." She said it so casually, like it didn't matter. That made my blood boil. I told her I wasn't stupid, that I knew she'd been lying the whole time, and I asked her why. Why was she doing this? What did she get out of cheating on me? Her answer was full of bullshit. "You're boring," she said. "You don't pay enough attention to me. Maybe I wanted some excitement, some fun. Sex with you was dead anyway. It's not like I'm in love with Mike or anything." That's when I saw her true colors: selfish, bitchy, manipulative. She was trying to spin it like I was the problem, like I was somehow to blame for her cheating. But I knew better. I saw the truth in her eyes. She was a liar, a manipulator, and I was starting to realize I'd been fooling myself thinking she was someone I could trust. That night I felt every emotion under the sun: shock, anger, sadness, even a little bit of regret. How had I missed all the signs? How could I have loved someone so much and been so blind? I kept replaying the moments: her lying, her sneaking away, her dismissive attitude, that were all so clear now. I was crushed, but I also knew I had to do something. I couldn't keep pretending her betrayal was just a mistake. That was when I decided I wasn't going to be the fool anymore. I had to figure out what was best for me, even if it meant losing everything I thought I knew about her. I told her I needed some time to think, that I couldn't just forgive and forget. She scoffed, said I was overreacting, accused me of being insecure. But I didn't care. I knew I had to step back, get some perspective, and decide whether I could stay in this marriage or if I needed to walk away. Honestly, I was torn between heartbreak and rage, feeling like I'd been sucker punched, yet knowing I had to protect myself from more hurt. The betrayal was raw, and I wasn't sure how to move forward from it, but one thing was clear: my life was never going to be the same after this. Over the next few days, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept circling around everything that had happened. I kept asking myself if I should try to save this mess of a marriage or just cut my losses and walk away. Every time I looked at her, I saw that bitchy smirk, that dismissive attitude, and it all made my stomach turn. She acted like I was crazy, like I was overreacting, but I knew the truth now. She'd been lying, sneaking around, and throwing our marriage away for some cheap thrill with Mike. I started drafting a plan. Not a revenge plan exactly, more like a way to get her to face what she'd done and see that I wasn't going to be played anymore. I decided I'd gather some more evidence, just in case I needed it. I wanted her to see that I knew everything, that I wasn't going to be the fool she thought I was. I also wanted to give her a little taste of her own medicine. If she wanted to lie and cheat, she'd pay the price. So I started sneaking around myself, checking her phone again, setting up some hidden cameras just to see if she'd slip up. I wasn't planning anything drastic, but I wanted to have all the info I needed. I also started talking to a few friends, people I trusted, just to get some perspective. Every single one of them told me to get out, to leave her and find someone who wouldn't cheat and lie. But I wasn't that quick to give up. I still loved her, or at least I thought I did. I was just hurt immensely. One night I caught her in the act. Not physically, thank God for that, but her phone buzzed again and she hurriedly grabbed it, trying to hide the screen. I saw the message from Mike pop up. "Can't wait to see you again tonight. You're the best." That was the final straw. I knew she was lying when she said she'd stop seeing him, but now I had proof. Evidence that she was still actively cheating, even after I'd confronted her. That's when I finally decided I'd had enough. If she wanted to keep lying and sneaking around, then she could do it without me in the picture. The day I decided to lay everything out for her once more, I felt a strange mix of relief and rage. I was tired of playing her game. I was tired of being the fool. I told her I knew about Mike, about everything, and that I was done pretending it didn't matter. She looked at me with that same bitchy smirk and said, "Oh, so you're finally catching on. Big deal, you're just insecure." That was her way of trying to dismiss me, make me feel small. But I wasn't going to let her. I just told her we were over, that I wasn't going to be in a relationship where I was constantly questioning if I was enough, if I was still worthy. I told her she was a liar, a cheat, and I deserved better than someone who thought sex with other men was more important than respect in a marriage. The aftermath was a whirlwind. I told her I was done, that I wasn't going to keep pretending I didn't see what she'd done. She threw a tantrum, called me paranoid, said I was overreacting, all the usual bullshit she'd been spewing since I found out. But I didn't care anymore. I had my evidence, I had my resolve, and honestly I felt a strange sense of relief. For so long I had been trying to convince myself that everything was fine, that maybe she'd change, that we could get past it. But deep down I knew that was a lie. She didn't care about us. She wanted her sex, her excitement, her little affair with Mike. I moved out. The next day, it was one of the hardest things I ever had to do, leaving the house we built together, knowing she'd been betraying me all along. I stayed with a friend for a while, trying to piece myself back together. My mind kept replaying the moments, the lies, the sneaking around, her bitchy attitude when I confronted her. I felt stupid, angry, betrayed, but also somehow empty. I had to accept that I never really knew who she was, not completely. The woman I married, the woman I loved, turned out to be someone else entirely, selfish, manipulative, and full of lies. In the end, I decided not to pursue a messy divorce right away. I needed time to process everything, to figure out what I really wanted. I knew I deserved better than someone who lied, cheated, and disrespected me. But I also knew I wasn't just going to walk away without feeling some deep, lingering hurt. That betrayal cut deep, and it's going to take a long time to heal. Still, I've learned a lot through this. I learned that people can surprise you in the worst ways, that trust is fragile, and that sometimes you have to walk away from what's broken if you want to save yourself. Honestly, I don't regret finding out the truth. It hurt like hell, but I'm better off knowing than living in a lie. Now I'm just taking it day by day, trying to rebuild my life and trust myself again. My biggest takeaway: never ignore the signs and never let anyone treat you like trash. If they cheat and lie, it's on them, not you. And you deserve honesty and respect always. Looking back now, I realize how much this whole experience has changed me. I used to be someone who believed in happily ever after, in sticking it out through thick and thin. But betrayal like this shatters that illusion pretty quickly. It's made me more cautious, more guarded, and honestly, a little more cynical about love and trust. Still, I know I'll come out of this stronger, even if it doesn't feel that way right now. I've started rebuilding my life from scratch, dating again, even though I'm cautious about who I let in. I don't trust easily anymore, but I refuse to let that turn me into someone bitter or closed off. What I've learned is that sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is walk away from a toxic situation and focus on healing. I don't hold anything against her anymore. I just see her as a lesson I didn't want to learn but needed to. To anyone reading this who's going through something similar, I'll say this: trust your instincts. Don't ignore those little red flags. If you catch someone lying or hiding things, don't brush it off or dismiss your gut feelings just to keep the peace. Because at the end of the day, you deserve honesty, respect, and loyalty. If they can't give you that, then you're better off walking away, even if it hurts like hell. This whole thing has taught me that you can love someone fiercely, but you can't force them to be faithful or honest. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is let go and move on. It's not about revenge or anger. It's about protecting your heart and finding someone who truly values you. I'm still healing, but I'm hopeful. Because I know now that I won't settle for less than I deserve, and that in the end, that's what truly matters.